So it feels like recently it's become trendy to act like religion is a set of outdated mythological beliefs clung to by those scared of the powers of science and reason, especially on the internet, and even more so on the corners of the internet populated by Rick and Morty fanatics. But as someone who spent a good chunk of my early 20s studying the philosophy of religion, I've always found this attitude annoying at best and intellectually smug at worst. And so I was tickled when the most recent episode of Rick and Morty, a Rick and King Morto's Mort, took on the very concept of myth-making and the way it shapes our beliefs. We see Morty accidentally dubbed a Knight of the Sun, only to learn that such a role mandates saying adieu to his favorite appendage.
Now just cut off your penises and throw them into the sun.
Okie dokie.
This is especially interesting because the show is no stranger to exploring and often critiquing the concept of myth-making. Last season, they revealed that Thanksgiving is a huge lie because of ancient dinosaur turkeys. They've explored the sinister reality that lies beneath a twee jelly bean world. And in its patented cynical nature, it has pretty much always landed on the side of myth-making is for liars and dum-dums.
I always thought we were more special than that. Like we invented everything and did everything, and that's why we own everything. Now I don't know what to feel.
Feel thankful, Morty. Feel thankful.
Basically, they've often seemed to share the same opinions of mythology and religion as those with the most posting karma on the r/atheism Reddit. This makes the most recent episode seem like a significant departure, and that's because it poses the possibility that myth-making might be good and even necessary for organized society. So is the show doing a total 180? Is atheism passé? Is cutting your dick off for the sake of perpetuating foundational societal myths a moral necessity? Good Lord, Jerry Garcia, I hope not. Let's find out in this Wisecrack Quicktake how Rick and Morty found God. Hey, but first, I wanted to tell you really quickly about our stream. It's called Wisecrack Live. It happens right here, Thursdays at 11 a.m. I'm there. You could be there. The chat's really great. Please come. Wisecrack Live, Thursdays, 11 a.m. Pacific. Okay, so the episode revolves around Morty's fateful meeting with the Knights of the Sun, who believe that they have to keep their precious scepter on that hot star, or else the universe will fall to pieces.
They don't even know sixth grade science.
Morty ends up becoming their king, and in a last-ditch effort to get them to leave him alone, he pulls out the whiteboard and gives them a science lesson.
Yeah, so there you have it. Traditions suck ass and your most foundational beliefs are total bullshit.
While he thinks that science has trumped belief, instead it's just created a deep sense of despair in the once faithful knights. They subsequently have a low-key crisis of faith, and like many newly minted atheists without anything else to believe in, they get really into drugs.
I just used your computer phone to search despair. Where can I get this heroin?
Now, without our sun bros to maintain order in the universe, all the planets go to war. Chaos reigns supreme, and technology advances by leaps and bounds.
War opened our eyes to the wonders of new technologies.
Now, even a 22% more supportive Rick can't keep Morty's spirits up.
You're killing me here, yes-anding me to death.
This all suggests something that scholars of mythology have been telling us for years. As anthropologist Bronislaw Malinowski put it in the 1920s, myth fulfills an indispensable function. It expresses, enhances, and codifies belief. It safeguards and enforces morality. It vouches for the efficacy of ritual and contains practical rules for the guidance of humanity. Myth is thus a vital ingredient of human civilization. It is not an idle tale, but a hard-worked, active force. Basically, mythology isn't just some quaint thing that people who existed before the internet needed so that they weren't scared of thunder and lightning. It's actually essential for the functioning of human society. This view of mythology is called functionalism because it focuses on the practical function that religion serves a society. Functionalism also refers to a broader branch of anthropology that Malinowski pioneered, in which the most important aspect of beliefs and practices is their practical function in a society. Now, we immediately see how vital the myth of the sun scepter is to the knights. As soon as Morty's scientific explanation blows up their shared myth, they lose their central source of meaning. A meaning so profound, it made self-castration seem like a no-brainer. With nothing left to cement the social order, everything collapses. The function of this myth was clearly to hold the planets in order, in a way creating its own type of social gravity. Now, the tension between science and religion, or faith and reason, has a long history. In fact, some scholars call early human religious and cultural myths primitive science, believing that they functioned largely as ways to explain scientific phenomena that people didn't yet have the knowledge or language to articulate. In this episode, science and religion collide when Morty uses high school level science to disprove a collective belief. Satisfied that his rationality has changed things for the better, Morty has no idea he's ushered in an era of interplanetary disaster. As Malinowski writes, the function of myth, briefly, is to strengthen tradition and endow it with a higher, better, more supernatural reality of initial events. The power of a shared myth has historically been used to justify everything from leaving cookies out for Santa, to forcibly converting people who are just minding their own business to wearing the same pair of socks so your team wins the big game. Without that mythos, the Knights lose their collective purpose and cope by getting just totally zonked out. For a show centered around a mad scientist, it's surprising that here, science proves to be a destructive force on society, while religion has helped maintain social cohesion. This fits Malinowski's argument that a key purpose of religion is to reinforce social norms and proliferate solidarity within a group, especially during times of emotional stress. That's because even religious myths that aren't empirically true are reflections of the morality and ideals of any given culture. That is to say, whether or not you believe that Jesus actually existed, it doesn't stop you from reading about him and saying, wow, great guy, I too will turn the other cheek. Because the moral principle can be true even if the forms of its communication are grounded in narrative or myth. Regardless of whether or not you think a myth is true in a verifiable sense, it's true in the way it reveals how a society conceives of itself and how it establishes and maintains social order and norms. Now, Rick and Morty learned this the hard way because when norms collapse around them, war becomes the new normal. Importantly, Malinowski subscribed to psychological functionalism, which prioritizes the importance of individual needs ranging from basic things like nutrition and reproduction to growth and relaxation. He believed that all aspects of cultures formed as a way to satisfy individual needs, or as he put it, culture is a need surveying system. For example, in this framework, the cultural practice of marriage arose to satisfy the human need for reproduction. As such, even if some of the religious and cultural reasons for marriage aren't true, they still justify a practice that has a necessary function in society, making more humans. In this episode, we see that the culture of the Sun Scepter sustained not only wide-scale social order, but also satisfied individual needs, offering the Knights purpose, happiness, and inner peace. Without the cultural structures of religion and the rituals and beliefs that constitute it, the Knights have to satisfy their emotional needs in other ways. While Rick and Morty have more often than not used science and technology as their superpower on various adventures, this time, things shake out very differently. Morty ultimately decides to perform the charade of sacrificing himself to revive the Knights' beliefs, and thus restore order on an individual and interplanetary level. It's kind of similar to Batman taking the fall in The Dark Knight to restore a sense of social order in Gotham. Now, the penis slicing plot may be absurd, but the meaning at the heart of the episode seems to be as old as human society itself. People need shared collective myths to understand how we behave and what to believe, and to satisfy many of their psychological needs. To watch pop culture's favorite atheists realize the value of religion is a fascinating turn for the show. It even seems to be responding to a branch of contemporary atheism that, after collapsing religious beliefs, tends to veer pretty quickly towards nihilism, and not the good kind. That is to say, you don't have to buy into the Knights' myths, and obviously Morty doesn't, to understand why those myths are valuable. And maybe most notably in doing this, the show is able to avoid the unnecessary either or between faith and reason. It shows that scientific facts don't always provide humans with meaning, and sometimes untrue myths can lead to meaningful behaviors. But that said, if a compelling new belief system asks you to mutilate your own genitals, maybe take a beat and just really think about it. But what do you all think? Should we keep a place for myth and religion in contemporary society, or are these just ancient crutches getting in the way of scientific reason? Let us know what you think in the comments. Thank you as always for all of our patrons for all your support. If you're interested in joining up, you can check out our Patreon page. There is a link in the description. It means a lot to us if you do. But thank you so much in general for watching, for liking, for subscribing, for commenting. It means so much, and we'll catch you next time. Later.